Brazil and politics of the United States are striking to an American. You are opposed by a coalition of billionaires, college professors, and CNN. Tell us what the opposition wants. What will Brazil look like if your opponent wins, do you think?
A minha eleição foi quase milagre.
My election itself was almost a miracle. I had nothing going for me to be elected. I was just, say, an isolated member of Congress known as the lower segment of National Congress in Brazil. I conducted my campaign anchored on a biblical passage, John 3:32. Thou shalt know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The media never gave me any visibility or space. Much to the contrary. They attacked me all the time throughout the campaign. On September the 6th, 2018, the eve of the election, I suffered an attempted assassination.
The far-right candidate Jair Bolsonaro was being carried through a crowd. You can see him there on the shoulders of some supporters when suddenly a man with a knife stabs him in the abdomen.
Doctors say my survival was a miracle, and the same is true for my election. And a very important factor, which you may perhaps not be aware of, is the fact that Brazil had a country that, upon taking office as president, the incumbent president surrendered strategic positions in the cabinet political parties, including the cabinet ministries, state banks, state companies. I did not do that. So I got a lot of pushback, strong pushback from Brazilian parliament, and we were able to withstand. In 2019, in 2020, of course, the pandemic hit and everything changed. And this country was doomed to a fiasco because many governors actually gathered forces through the economy to defeat me. We were able to successfully come to the end of 2020, 2021, and came to a positive balance of about 3 million new job posts created in Brazil during the pandemic. And we're now in the last year of my current term in office, and the left wing is really going desperate, because despite everything, we're doing pretty well. Now, the problems in Brazil are the problems that are there for the whole world, such as, for example, inflation as a result of mistake and policies adopted during the pandemic, such as stay at home, and the economy will take care of itself later. The lockdown policies, as well as the war between Ukraine and Russia, which has partly, of course, affected the price of fuels, which in turn, of course, reflects in higher inflation levels. The left wing tries to use that to defeat me. If they do come back to power, in my view, they will never go back or go out of power again. Even former President Lula, everything he says, despite all the foolish things he says, and despite attacking so many people, such as Christians, for example, when it comes to the issues such as abortion policy and the apparent partnership he has with many crooks and thieves, he wants many crimes to no longer be crimes. And he wants to be able to lend money to dictatorships all around the world. He wants to disarm the good, willing population. They also want to revitalize the MST, the Landless People Movement, and arm them. They should have no less or no more than 10% of votes, but they do. The opinion polls conducted by Data Following, one of the last polls indicated that Lula is perceived as being more honest than I am. This kind of opinion poll, of course, is totally mistaken and doesn't work, but they do conduct these polls to attach some element of credibility to potential future manipulation of votes. That's a suspicion we clearly have. That's actually more than a suspicion. We have some circumstantial evidence, and if the left wing does come back to power, in my view, they will never leave power anymore. And this country will follow the same pathways as Venezuela, Argentina, Chile, Colombia. Brazil will be one more wagon in that train. And the losers will be the Brazilian population, and also the left wing itself. The left-wing voter will lose as a result, and all of South America will be colored red, if you understand me. And in my view, the United States will become virtually an isolated country in the world.
So many questions, but back to the stabbing during your campaign. You were stabbed by a leftist at a campaign event. He was never sent to prison. He went to a mental hospital. Did you think you were going to die?
The doctors in the city where I underwent the surgery, and also the following day in Sao Paulo, the capital, they said out of 100 people who were stabbed like I was, only one person survives. And thank God I survived. and also due to my physical preparation, also because of the healthy lifestyle I had throughout my life. So that helped me resist. And as a coincidence, on the eve, the day before, I had taken a shot of benzodine, a drug that helped fight a more serious, or what would otherwise be a more serious infection because the knife was infected. And the person who stabbed me was affiliated with the left-wing party PSOL. The following day after the stabbing, 3 renowned lawyers came to the town Ruiz de Fora to try to defend the person. And the person who stabbed me, Adalia, on the same day, September the 6th, someone tried to go into the House of Representatives using false documentation, which could serve as an alibi if he had fled the crime scene in Ruiz de Fora. So someone tried to use his documents to go into the House of Representatives as an alibi. No one can possibly explain to me why the investigation has not evolved with so many elements available.
The media in Brazil is highly concentrated. 90% of all ad dollars go to a company called Globo, which dominates television here. They're opposed to you. How did you win? How could you win again with the entire Brazilian media against you?
Existe o peso da imprensa contra mim.
Yes, there is the weight of the media against me. True, but social media has been doing a great job in Brazil. My social media channels are among the most interactive in the world. And I believe that today we have about 40% of the population who has not yet expressed their voting intentions. And most of the voters, we believe, will vote for me during the elections.
Why is there no Fox News in Brazil? CNN is here. You got over 50 million votes in the last election. CNN's a political player here, so is Globo, but there's no TV channel for your voters?
Well, if I could, launch an appeal to you, I can only say that you will be the most welcome in Brazil. You will be an excellent counterpart to the other vehicles or outlets. There are very few media outlets that are really unbiased in Brazil. That's something we need. And we do have one program in the Jovem Pan network called The Dots in the Eyes. The Dots in the Eyes, or The Dots on the Eyes, and they're excellent. They really showcase the good things going on in this country.
So you find yourself in a place where the permanent bureaucracy here in Brasilia, the state-owned companies, the media, leaders in countries around Brazil are all opposed to you. You stand effectively alone. Are you bothered by that, or how do you?
Brazil is an economic powerhouse in South America. The 10 countries with which we have political, geopolitical, physical borders are not that economically strong as compared to Brazil. We are what you might describe as a cherry on the cake. If Brazil goes down or collapses, the whole of South America will go down and be colored red, if you understand me. And it will certainly, of course, be a country aligned with other ideologies outside of Brazil, and it will establish a wonderful bloc, wonderful between quotation marks, and they will be able to impose their will on the world. Brazil remains a democracy, but we do run a serious risk of collapsing.